That's basically the mantra of no clip, right there. Delicious coffee. Hello, and welcome to a Q&A. A rather rushed Q&A, I must admit. I am, let's make sure we're zoomed out. I am flying to Tennessee with my man Jeremy Jane tomorrow morning. So today is the first day I've had to sort of not be planning for that. We're almost packed entirely. Jeremy's coming over later on today to help me test fly the drone, which I always do before we leave. There she is. I've got plenty of other bits. We got our last wish. I read this a while back, but I gotta dive back in and have a look at some of the other ones. A lot of people suggested I get this, which is the compendium for Witcher 3. It's mostly within lore. It's not like they don't really talk about. It's like almost like a lore book rather than like a development book. So it's mostly for a reference, I guess. But I do kind of know the lore of The Witcher relatively well, so I'm feeling okay about it. We had to buy a new light. So I've got a new light pack in there. There's a second one in that bad boy. This is our light pack. I'll show you inside. One of them broke back when we did Doom, and we never really replaced it because I had other ones. So I've got two of them in there now. All the requisite power. The busted one's in here, along with a busted tripod. The head on this one finally gave out. This one, what's it say? Studio light. Yeah, the 32K on it panel is half broken, so that's over there. So I'm picking up a new tripod for my PO box today. Yeah, I don't know why I'm showing you this crap. Transistor. Yo, that Pyre game is pretty good. So yeah, Q&A time. This is where I usually do it. Over here, you can see this hot GIF, and all of you put your lovely questions in there, which we can't see because of the ISO. Give me a hot second. And whatever. And here's the other questions here. So I'm going to do a bunch of them this week. Usually I do a handful of questions, and the problem is that I run through them really, really slowly, and then I often also get the same people. So this one I've made a conscious effort to get a bunch of questions in, and also to get questions from people who I don't recognize their names. Brandon Gann is in here again because he always asks good questions, but apart from that, we've 19 other questions, which should hopefully be quite a lot. So you'll hopefully all get in there. Is my mic still working? Is it working? I also want to sort of test out using this handheld camera a little bit with the lav mic setup. So this is helping me sort of get to grips with the weight aspect of it as well. Yeah. So let's get into some questions. First one. So I'm going to answer a lot of questions, 19 questions, but I'm going to do them relatively fast because I always end up rambling and talking way too much and giving stupidly long answers like I am right now. So here we go. First question is from Alex Van Aken. Asks, what's the PAX West plan? I will be at PAX West. I will be hosting a panel. I can't say any more than that because it's not mine to announce kind of thing, but I will be there that weekend. I'm probably not going to be there for a lot of the weekend. I think I might only be there Saturday and Sunday. I've got a lot of stuff going on either side of that, and I need edit days the week before to prepare. So I will be there, but like I said, hopefully once we're back from Poland, all the other stuff should be wrapped up and I'll be able to talk about it, but I will be there. Jacob Prater asked the question. Also, Connell Lindsay asked this question as well, sort of generally. Where do you see the channel in 5 years? Do you plan to keep the content as is, or would you like to explore other subjects or type of content? You may have seen that on the Daniel Dwyer YouTube channel, I put up my new version of The Point. It's called Danny's Disc Club. I intentionally put that on that channel because I feel like No Clip is always going to be about free video game documentaries, and that's always what that's going to be about. And if I get hit by a train, at least they'll all be there and they'll all not have ads on them, hopefully forever, and people can do whatever the hell they want with them. So where I see the channel in 5 years is us making more and better versions of those. I'd love to maybe one day do like a film festival, or one day release a theatrical documentary about games or something. But for the channel itself, I really just want the quality to increase. I'd love to build a team around it and get the frequency up as well. And yeah, just keep it that way, to be honest. Like I have ideas about other types of content I'd like to do, but my heart and my creative and energy is all in games. Sean Hannon asked, any plans for Cloth Map no clip crossover project? I was actually talking to Drew about it yesterday, oddly enough, when we were recording Shift F1. We don't know what it is yet, but yes, I think he probably needs to get a year under his belt before we do anything like that. I'm coming up on a year myself. This camera's so heavy. I was talking to him about Gorilla Pods as well, actually. We will, but don't expect it soon. How about that? But I'm sure we will. I love working with Drew. Josh Squires asks, as you approach the end of No Clip Year 1, what's something you would have done differently in retrospect as you started on the project? Bonus question, what are the chances of a No Clip PUBG tourney? PUBG tourney, that's a good shout. High, I would say, but maybe not in the next month because of all the travel. But yes, definitely. No Clip PUBG documentary I'd love to do. That's like on my wish list. Things I've done differently, probably take care of my mental health a bit better. I was kind of running myself ragged back, I feel like the February, March, April time. I've gotten better for sure, and taking some pretty big steps to make sure that that for the future it's better as well. Like moving out of this small place in Oakland, and getting a bit more space and getting a bit more tied into nature like I used to be, which is really important because getting out of the house is a difficult thing. Probably getting out of the house more. That's why Kind of Funny Games Daily is great, because it gets me out of the house. I get to interact with friends and I get to talk about games twice a week as well. So I think I probably would have done more outside of the house stuff. Brandon Kagan, you mentioned on a recent appearance on the Kind of Funny Games cast how you have now been pitched more than you are the one doing the pitching, for projects, yeah. I understand you can't divulge what and who is being pitched, but can you reveal how many projects you are currently discussions for and or have confirmed, which are another secret project en route included? Thanks for taking my question, if you do, and have a wonderful day. Thanks, Brandon. Confirmed projects, the one I'm shooting in Tennessee, which is not really with a games publisher, it kind of is through a publisher, but we're not really interviewing the devs. We might end up doing something. It's more about a community of gamers. The Witcher one, obviously, we had set up basically around GDC, around late February, sort of March time, and then finalized the details at E3. So that was sort of always in the pipeline. Apart from those, we don't have any confirmed. We have like 3 or 4 which are like right on the edge, which we're like, we could do it. One of them is back in Europe. We tried to get it in with this one, and then another which I kind of feel like we need to do this year if we're going to do it. And then there's a couple of other ones around America as well. We've done a lot of international trips is the thing though. These 2 projects are both international trips, and they cost like 5 times more than when we do regular ones. So we like the past 4 months expenditure has been pretty nuts, to be honest. So thanks for all the support. So that's what I'm kind of waiting to see. I think after The Witcher one, I'm going to like pull back a little bit on the international stuff, do more stuff that's around game communities, and do stuff that's local to America, and then also kind of focus a bit more on the Danny's Disc Club stuff a bit as well. I'm thinking of making 1 month just me working on those and make a bunch of them and see if people like that, because a lot of people were saying, I love the docs, but it'd be cool to have more of these. But yeah, apart from that, I can't really say anything else. I try not to foretell them too much, because then we have people disappointed. Whereas I felt like, hey, we're going to Warsaw. I just need to let people in Warsaw know we're going to be there for the meetup. So keep your eyes on the blog for more details on that. Craig Parker asks, hey Danny, I know your scope for NoClip is strictly to present great video game stories to your patrons ad-free. I'm wondering if you ever get any pushback from developers because of your focus. Any devs/publishers, especially larger ones, more reluctance to work with you because of your focus on patrons instead of larger set of viewers. And to that end, how did you get Square Enix on board with the Final Fantasy XIV doc? Were they interested in telling a story as part of marketing their new expansion Stormblood? How did that deal come about, if you're allowed to talk about it? Anyway, keep up the great videos. I'm exceedingly happy to support you and love everything you've done so far. Thanks so much, Greg. First question. No, we get more views on our documentary stuff than the big game sites do, so that's not like a problem. Like, yes, I focus on patrons, but we put the Doom one up and it's done. I mean, that's the outlier, right? But that's done like whatever, like 2 million views on its own or something, 800,000 views on that one video, so probably 1.5 or something. But like, even like, our slowest performing videos like Frog Fractions, we still put up docs of Frog Fractions that like got over 150,000. Like the Spelunky one's at 200,000, Witness at 200,000, Spelunky's at 150 or something. Final Fantasy one's broken 600,000. Like, we put up really long documentaries about stuff and they do get views. So I don't think they're worried about views. You know, if you compare us to some of the stuff that's gone up on Waypoint or IGN or GameSpot, which like I don't like comparing, but like it's part of the gig to make sure I've got visibility on that stuff. Like we outperform them, so I don't think that's a problem necessarily. Like genuinely and genuinely, people want to talk to us and want us to talk to them because they have a story that they want us to tell. Final Fantasy 14, I think I mentioned before, they got in contact back in January and were happy for us to come out in like February. So it wasn't about having it around Stormblood. I wanted to have it around Stormblood because I had stuff booked up until March, I think, maybe April. And I thought, look, it's out then. The team will be less busy, which is really important for me because I feel like I'm not jumping in and they're in the middle of work and they don't want to talk to me. That's how we get Yoshida-san for like 6 hours. And then also like the community will be more interested in it because they're like anticipating the new game starting. So there's part of my old brain, which is still an old GameSpot brain, where I'm like thinking about when people will want to watch these, and like I think it's cooler for a fan to have a doc to watch in the lead up or like around the time that it launches rather than a couple of months earlier. But no, there was nothing around it being the marketing around the game. Like they contacted me 6 months earlier, and if I wanted I could have done it earlier. Zurich 18, Jake, how are you enjoying Kind of Funny Games Daily? I think I called it Gamescast earlier, I'm sorry. I really like it. It gets me out of the house. I love working with Greg. I love talking to those guys. It's really good fun. The drive across the bay lets me listen to podcasts. I've caught up on all my Giant Bomb and Beastcast now. Represent. And a bunch of other podcasts I listen to as well, a bunch of the Gimlet stuff. So it's been great. I love it. It's really good for my mental health, and it's a fun project to work on with some fun people too. Connor Buller asks, do you ever think about becoming a developer yourself? If so, what discipline? I in a previous life was a web programmer. I made websites and stuff like that. And in college I made a bunch of games. I made Flash games. I made one game in C#, for which ran with an Xbox 360 controller on a PC, so that, in XNA basically. So that was fun. Yeah, I did want to, but as a creative person, I think I've realized that I'm the type of person who likes to have their finger in every aspect of the creative process. So like shooting and editing and hosting and like doing all that sort of stuff, like it's fun for me to be doing it all. And in games, unless you're like a really, really talented indie dev, you can't really do that. So, and I wasn't a really, really talented indie dev. So no, I mean, I wouldn't put it off. In my mind, I'd love to like maybe at some stage go into like production and, you know, help a team get to a vision or something. But no, yeah, I don't have to. Right now, all I want to do is keep doing more no clip shit. I'm not a. The cool thing about video is that when you make something, it's out in like a couple of weeks or a day or a month. In games, you start something and it takes 5 years. And when I worked in web, I'd start and it would take 6 months, and that used to kill me. So I'm happy with the workflow I have now. Next question comes from Andy Pocket. What was the moment you said, fuck it, I'm doing it, and walked away from GameSpot to start NoClip? I know the Overwatch series at GameSpot was very popular, but was there a view count, a person, or an event that pushed you over the edge past the fear of striking out on your own? No, I think it was like a culmination of a couple of things. Like, kind of funny doing the Patreon thing really opened my eyes and was like, oh, that's amazing. I think I was pushing to get more control and like power probably at GameSpot over their direction, because I had ideas about how we could increase audience with the way that GameSpot worked, and you know, I felt for a long time people didn't really listen to me, and I sort of went out swinging in my last kind of couple of months there to like be like, no, this is what I think we should be fucking doing, and whether people either my idea either fits with the people who are here or it doesn't. And I think at that stage I was like, it doesn't. I don't need to be here. I've got my visa stuff had come through, and like I'd always been like a sole trader in the past, and I believed in myself, and I knew that if we got a quarter of the funding we got, I'd make it work, and if we got double it, then I'd figure it out. Like business wise, I'm relatively, I feel like, savvy enough. So I thought like it was a calculated risk, and like I remember talking to people like Gersman and other people about it and being like, it's really nervous to do this, but he was like don't worry about it, the whole thing crashes and burns, you'll probably still be employable somewhere else anyway. Like worst case scenario, you could come back or you could go to another site. So it just made sense. It was the right time to do it. Like, I think it was more a case of, if I don't do it now, if I do it in 6 months, it won't be as good. Like, I wanted to really, I think that was a really good time for the idea of what NoClip is. Especially as, like, now, in the year since we've launched, like, so many more Patreons have turned up. I thought I was late to the party, looking at, like, what Kind of Funny had done and Kind of Funny Games. But, like, the amount of stuff that's gone up there now, between, you know, I mean, Drew doing it, Colin doing his own thing, Philip DeFranco's on there, What's Good Games, Real Roleplay, like, there's loads of people doing stuff. So I think, yeah, I think it was just like a timing thing. All right, I'm rambling on the questions again. Josh Carrero, I apologize. He's an amazingly beautiful car. Almost. Hey Danny, love your work you've done so far, but I have to ask, will you be continuing your Ocarina of Time playthrough anytime soon? It was probably my favorite non-documentary thing you've done, so I'd love to watch you keep playing it. Not right now. Maybe when I set up the studio thing, which I'm hoping to do in the next couple of months, I'll get around to doing it again. But between that and the Tournament of Lies, like right now, I really just decided I needed to focus on the stuff people were really asking for, which was Danny's Disc Club, more doc stuff and games that they cared about. So not right now, but I won't write it off. How about that? Nick Frontero. Hi Danny, The Witcher 3 was my first go into the series, and I'm considering picking up the novels the series is based on. Question about the doc. Will it cover Gwent as well? After playing Witcher 3, I fell in love with the game card game. Another side quest could be why CD Projekt Red has not released a physical version of the game. As far as I know, physical copies of Gwent I see are all fan-made, and looking forward to the next documentary on others. I'm not sure, I will mention Gwent. The guy who made Gwent I've interviewed before, he doesn't work at CD Projekt anymore, so he's kind of the story of that game. He made it one weekend as a replacement for the dice rolling game, and I interviewed him on the GameSpot stage, and there's actually a really good interview between the two of us about that. I think it was E3 20, it would have been 2016, I think it was my last one, where I think he's on stage, and so is like a guy dressed up as Geralt. And the leader of the Wild Hunt. Eridan, God, my name. Read the books, they're really good, they're really easy. The Last Witch is a really easy read. It's the second set of short stories. The first one, I think, has now come out in English. And then there are novels, but they're a little bit different paced. But The Last Wish is definitely a good starting point, at least if you're a shit reader like I am. And yeah, they did release a copy of the Gwent packs with Blood and... with Heart of Stone, I think it was. But I'm not sure if you could play with them properly, the way the decks work. So we'll mention Gwent, but we're not going to do a doc on Gwent. We're doing one on GOG while we're out there, and hopefully the Gwent stuff might come up, but yeah, with that guy gone, I feel like it doesn't really work as well. Graham Robinson, how do you feel about revisiting a documentary that GameSpot Danny made? I feel good about it because that was like a preview for a game that came out. Like, if you go watch that now, it's them talking about a game in a way that's like, yeah, I know, I've played 100 hours of it. So it's not really in depth. The one aspect of it with the whole CD Projekt history thing, we are revisiting, and that's going to be more difficult. So that's going to be certainly a creative challenge, especially as like that video did gangbusters. I think it was the most popular GameSpot like doc style video that had been done since I was there. So yeah, I guess I got a challenge ahead of me. James Gee. Hey Danny, was wondering if you're thinking about doing 50 Cent Blood in the Sand documentary at some point. If I can get 50 Cent this go in front of camera and talk about that game, I will do that doc. Adam Werner. Hey Danny, in the instance where you didn't get the GameSpot job, or likewise, did you have any backup career, and what would you do differently if you could relive your life all over? Would it be the same or different? I'd make very different changes in the relationships I had during my life, for sure. But professionally, no. I'm pretty... My professional life was always the sort of like main drive of my life, and the thing that most of my brain power and energy went into. And I'm really happy with how it's all gone, to be honest. I did have a backup career as a web developer. I did that for years. I worked in London as a web developer for 2 years while I was trying to break into GameSpot. And I think having a backup career is really important, because you know that you've got a parachute to pull, and if you don't, then you'll work for shit money and do a shit job just because you don't have an option to. So I think it's really important that you do. But no, professionally, I think I'm really satisfied with how everything's gone, to be honest. Like, I can't believe I'm in the position I'm in now. I'm working really hard to make sure that it's not wasted and people think the stuff that NoClip makes is rad, and I'm hopeful that we can grow this and turn it into something even cooler. Like I said before, I don't want to be what Vice is now. I want to be what Vice was 6 years ago in terms of size and scope and quality, and then I want to stay there. and we're getting to there. We're like halfway maybe, and I feel like a little bit more, get a couple more people involved, but keep the quality up more than anything. That's where I'd like to be. So I'm happy with how everything's gone so far. But yeah, you learn a lot about who you are and the people you want in your life when you grow up as well. And I think that's just part of growing up. You can't really change it, I guess. Anthony Maxwell, you've probably heard this a million times, but what is on your documentary wish list now that you've accomplished so much in your first year? Thanks, Anthony. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds I'd love to do. Horizon Zero Dawn I'd love to do. Hitman I'd love to do. And I mean, I'd love to go back to Japan for a million things. But those are the ones that I'd like, selfishly, I'd like to do more than anything else. I'd also love to do on Half-Life, especially now so many people have left, or like that's era of Steam with Chet Falsek leaving and Wolpaw leaving and, you know, Michael Abrash out again, like something on that, but I don't think that's the right time. But yeah, maybe sometime, we'll see. Ian Derbyshire asks, I loved all your work at GameSpot, particularly like the Point, Buffer's Guide, Escape from My Stupid, Secret Code, etc. Thank you, Secret Code, love that mention. While I'm enjoying your no-clip content, do you have any plans to do some of that that aren't so interview focused? I need to put up an old Patron post about Danny's Disc Club because I haven't done that yet. Danny's Disc Club is my new version of The Point. It's up on youtube.com/Danny Dwyer. You can go watch that if you want. I'm going to be making bunches more of those. It was really fun to do it. I'm not putting them on a no-clip channel because I want that stuff, like I said, to just be video game documentaries. But yeah, I do have plans to do that sort of stuff. That kind of goes into the whole, I don't necessarily need to edit this type of thing. It's not like, and also like I need a dedicated space to shoot this because that's the thing that takes the longest amount of time. So I do have plans to do that stuff and more on the reg, but watch this space. How about that? Danny's Disc Club is kind of the tip of that iceberg. Stephen Pick, hey Danny, you might have heard this question before, but if not, favorite video game related documentary. In regard to that, did that favorite inspire you to produce your own video game related documentaries? Keep up the excellent work, sir. Stephen, I really liked Indie Game the movie. I think King of Kong might be my favorite because it's so, because the story evolves in that way that like being there, like. The Indie Game movie, you can tell they checked in every once in a while, but there's something about King of Kong where it feels like they're like living with these wackos the whole time. And honestly, like I don't think I came from that angle. Like I'm not really a filmmaker, and I'm not really, and I love documentaries. I've always loved documentaries, but I don't think I came at it from that side. I don't think I ever thought I wanted to be or would be a documentarian. I think it was more I love video games. I love how they're made, and I thought that games websites weren't covering that aspect of it very well, and then I realized, oh, if you call them documentaries, then people know they're not previews and they know they're like a bit more substantive. So yeah, I don't think I came from that side, but I'd love to make something on that scope for sure. Andrew Nunn asks, there's 3 questions left. Andrew Nunn, what editing software do you use and how do you go about learning to use it, looking for recommendations, way to learn the craft? I use Adobe Premiere. If you get Adobe Creative Cloud, it is basically their, what do you call it, like monthly registration thing, which gives you access to all of their software. They make stuff like Photoshop and Dreamweaver and InDesign and After Effects and Illustrator and all these really good digital design platforms. Premiere is cool. It might look intimidating when you first get it. There are loads of really good YouTube tutorials out there that can help you get to do it. But really the only way to learn any piece of software is to get your hands dirty, go in there, make some shit, make some mistakes, run up against brick walls and then figure out how to do them. And then through that process, you'll get better, more confident at it. Yeah, I would say start with Premiere now. Final Cut X, I used for a couple of years. I think Premiere is a lot strong. I think as somebody coming into it now, don't label yourself by using something that a lot of people aren't using anymore. I'd say Premiere is a bit more ubiquitous and is more support as well, as much as I liked Final Cut for all those years. Yeah, I do that. Check it out. It's not too expensive if you're a student. I'm not sure if the student rate thing still applies, but I think it's only, I can't actually remember how much it is a month. I think it might be somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks. I think it's like 10 bucks, I don't know. Molly Bittner asks, something I think about from time to time that worries me. How will I be able to play video games when I'm 80 years old and have arthritis? If I'm old and bedridden most of the time, I'll want to play a ton of games, but can my hands handle it, or should hardware devs work on a product for all of us to use 20 to 40 years from now? Thanks. This is actually something that comes up, I think about a lot as well, to be honest, Molly. I mean, if you're bedridden, you're probably got a lot more things to worry about, maybe. But like, if you're 80, you might not be bedridden, or if you're bedridden, you should maybe still be able to use your hands. I mean, I think what's going to happen when we're 80 is that hopefully if video games and society is still around, we'll have so many different types of games to play, and games that we didn't play back in the day as well, which we'll want to go back and play. So most games are not that taxing on your hands in terms of control. You know, if you're playing Street Fighter, maybe when you're 80 that won't work out so good. But, you know, games are relatively scalable. And if there is a big market for old people playing games, which I'm sure there will be, something tells me the good folks over, maybe not Mad Cats, but someone else, some bad pull, Danny. Some other controller folks will sort it out. I, for one, are really looking forward to being retired, because our generation's going to have a fucking laugh, because we're just going to be in there playing video games all the time. And last question from Michael. Yeah, my hands are really getting a workout. I hope the shot's been okay. I'll see it in post. Michael, yeah, what are you currently listening to in terms of music? Do you ever listen to newer music when you're in a certain mood, or a la Baby Driver, or more so whatever is playing on the radio? Recently for myself, I've been listening to a lot of J-Som and Haim, both bands creating excellent summer vibes. Yeah, I do like Haim, although I'm not ever sure how to pronounce that when I bring it up. My Spotify list is here. I love music. I'm a massive fan of music. I wanted to be a music, I mean everyone is, but I wanted to be a music video director when I was a kid. Right now I listen to a lot of like Ulrich Strauss is one of the guys from Tangerine Dream who did the Grand Theft Auto soundtrack. He's got really good stuff. I listen to a lot of John Hopkins. Like, I grew up listening to dance music, so I kind of have a affinity towards non-vocal like digital sounds, like soundscapes and stuff. So, you know, there's a bunch of that sort of shit in here. More Ulrich, some Tycho as well in here. But then I like, my favorite band in the world is Deftones, so I listen to a lot of them. Listen to a lot of Bent, who are pretty good. Brighton Dance Collective, which is two guys. Radiohead, what else is here? Aphex Twin, of course. Trent Reznor. I have a really good playlist of basically just Trent Reznor OST soundtracks. So Morgan Delt is real good, right, for my summer vibes. I got this on the way back from PAX, I think. Was it? There was a Sub Pop store in the airport. I think that must have been it. I like that a lot. There's some old shit, like CKY, Block Party, Maximo Park, Interpol, Doves, The Music, some Elbow I've even got. I like some Coldplay as well. Just, you know, maybe not the new stuff, but Portishead, Röyksopp, Palms. If you like anthemic music and Chino Marino, get in on some Palms. I tried that Julian Casablancas album. It was alright. Wasn't super into it. I got my George Michael here. I listened to a lot of the Hamilton soundtrack as well, because I fucking love that. I saw that show. Alanis Morissette, Kendrick Lamar. I listen to a lot of hip hop, but like it tends to be older stuff, like Gangstar and fucking old Dre stuff and things like that. Yeah, this is my coding or writing playlist I've had for about 5 years. Starts off with Jim Guthrie's The Track from Indie Game the Movie, actually. Really good soundtrack. A lot of Trent Reznor, Röyksopp, things like that. Left Field, my favorite dance act ever, probably. They put a new album out last month. It's pretty. Oh, last year. It's pretty great. Got some house tracks. Yeah, a lot of stuff. The Divine Comedy, Bell X1 is an Irish playlist, I guess. Yeah, so I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of music and a lot of varied music. I listen to, so in there you've got, show tunes, metal, and dance stuff. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I hope there was a good Q&A. Like I said, we're packing at the moment. I got a new camera bag as well, actually, because the last one, the face on it ripped. One of the zippers on it went really early, actually, on my first trip, and then I sort of labored with the other one. But I ended up getting this one off Amazon. It's the Vanguard. I forget which size it is, but it's pretty deep in there. I needed extra space for my Nintendo Switch. Laptop cubby in the side. I'm not quite sure I like the side mounted and the fact that it has a laptop sign on it there. It's like, steal me, steal me. It's got a nice double protected pocket for the camera goes in there. Mics go there. Batteries there. And then I've got, space in the front. Love my water bottle holders, so it's got two of them. Yeah, and then this is some of the stuff that's coming. Jeremy's going to come over with the big bag, and we're going to put in some of these tripods or light stands. We got the different mounts and stuff to go into. So yeah, got some packing to do. So I'm going to get this video up right now so I can go do it. Thanks so much for all your questions. The Patron hangout will be There'll be a message about it soon. I was trying to get it done this week, but a bunch of last minute stuff came up about this trip that ended up taking away one of my evenings. So I dropped the ball on that. So it will either be while I'm away, or I'm trying to find time, or it'll be when I get back. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There'll also be a meet up in Warsaw. It looks like Saturday, which I believe is the 5th, somewhere in Warsaw. So keep your eyes peeled for that too. And yeah, apart from that, I'm going to go shoot some Witcher stuff and also some other weird stuff in Tennessee. So check out for that. Look out for that stuff as well. All right, thanks for all the questions. If you have any more, stick them in the comments and I'll answer them in there. And until then, goodbye. I was trying to think of what goodbye is in Polish. I don't know what it is. Na zdrowie!